felony issues
That's
and
not
stuff
funny
like that.
right now. Thanks. Also not true.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, hang on for a second.
Let me know if you guys are ready.
There goes the media card.
I'll let you guys get settled. Tara, do you need to? Do you want to just?
If I like, if I block
Sure.
anybody, something like that.
Or do you want to? Yeah, do you want to put it there? That's fine too.
My light's barely reaching.
Okay. Earlier today, a judge confirmed the recount result was the one that we expected. We've officially won our race for Arizona Attorney General. While it took longer than we all thought it would, I want to say that I am humbled and grateful to be the next Attorney General of Arizona, your lawyer for the people. And I absolutely could not have won this race without my team, my campaign staff, my transition team, our awesome legal team, and every single person who volunteered and voted for me across the state of Arizona. Our race was once again a reminder that every vote matters in our state and that democracy is truly a team sport. Today, we are looking forward. I am going to return the office of Attorney General to respectability and to integrity by focusing on the issues that matter to Arizonans, not wasteful partisan politics and games. We are going to focus on fighting elder abuse, on protecting our water supplies, tackling the out-of-control fentanyl crisis in the state of Arizona, and fighting to restore our reproductive rights immediately. We are going to make sure that we repair the morale and culture of the Office of Attorney General by increasing transparency, filling the numerous vacancies, especially in the Child and Family Protective Services Division of the Attorney General's office, and bringing this office back to its core mission, which is protecting our most vulnerable Arizonans and working in the public's best interest. We are also going to take these unacceptable threats on our elections officials very seriously, and we will prosecute when warranted. I have a long list of things I want to accomplish as your next Attorney General and as the lawyer for the people. I want to thank you for your support, and I can't wait to roll up my sleeves and get started for the people of Arizona. And I'd be glad to take any questions that you have now.
Question.
Yes.
Have you heard from Abe Hamadeh? Has he called you to concede?
He has not, no. Yes, sorry.
I'm not sure if you saw what he had posted on Twitter shortly after the results were released this morning. I mean, he basically was saying that it's such a big difference, is basically what he was saying. And do you have a response to him not conceding at this point?
You know, look, I think that there is no doubt whatsoever that this was a nail biter of a race. I don't know, maybe they'll end up calling me Landslide Mays. We'll see. And it was close at 511. It ended up being close with a 280 margin. But, you know, look, that's what recounts are for, you know. And the recount happened. The process occurred as it was supposed to. We wound up with a lead, with a 280 vote lead. And so that work is done, and it's time now to move on. The election has been finalized. The election has been certified by the counties and by the Secretary of State's office. And I'm looking forward to raising my right hand and taking the oath of office, and most importantly, getting down to work for the people of Arizona. We have so much to do, whether it's protecting our water supplies, going after this fentanyl crisis, finally prosecuting elder abuse in the state of Arizona, which this current Attorney General has not done. As I said, filling this unacceptable level of vacancies in the Child and Family Services Division, which protects our most vulnerable children and families in the state of Arizona, and really protecting vote by mail and protecting our elections officials. So it's time now to get down to the business of working for the people of Arizona as their lawyer.
Some saying, trying to sow doubt that, there were undercounts of votes in Pinal County. I mean, what's your response to that?
Yeah, again, what I am told is that, really when you look at an election like this where 2.5 million people voted, a variation, a variance of a couple hundred votes actually isn't that extraordinary, especially with an election this large and with this many people. So it's really not, I think, not that surprising to see that kind of a variance. Obviously, I know Pinal County is I think having a meeting soon, or maybe they just had a meeting to talk about what happened. But look, at the end of the day, the statutorily required recount occurred. We have faith in that. We always had faith in our elections. And I think what's really unfortunate about the way that my former opponent went about this is that, it was clear that his lawsuits were aimed at sowing doubt in the public's mind in our election system, and that's wrong. Arizona has free and fair and secure and nearly flawless elections. And I think it's unacceptable for any candidate of any political party to deliberately try to undermine and stoke doubt in the minds of Arizona voters. And that has been going on for multiple years now, unfortunately, in the Republican Party, my former party, and it needs to stop, And so one of the jobs that I will have as Attorney General is to try to restore some of that trust in our election system amongst all Arizonans, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. I want all Arizonans to know that I am going to work for you, and you will have a voice inside the Attorney General's office. And it starts with working on all those issues that I talked about, especially fighting consumer fraud, especially tackling our fentanyl crisis, which affects all families, whether they're Republicans, Independents, or Democrats.
Have you heard from Brnovich, AG Brnovich, or have you been working with them in the transition even ahead of this? I mean, what has that looked like?
So I did have a conversation about a month ago, right after the election, with the current Attorney General, Mark Brnovich. We've had some good conversations with people inside of his office. I've had a chance to talk with many, if not all, of the division chiefs inside the AG's office, and I'm looking forward to now getting to the office on Tuesday and getting started after the inauguration.
Has anyone else called you today? Governor Ducey, anyone else now that it's final?
Well, I've had a lot of phone calls, so I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure. Not that I know of, but certainly a lot of phone calls coming in.
On sowing doubt and elected officials, your predecessor Brnovich, he had set up that election integrity unit, which some have said that unit itself has helped kind of sow doubt with having some people involved with it that are connected to groups like True the Vote, which True the Vote was behind helping with the 2,000 Mules documentary. I say in air quotes because it has a lot of false claims built within it. Do you have any thoughts on if that unit within the AG's office is going to continue under your?
The unit inside the AG's office will continue. Its mission will change to some degree. We will continue to prosecute any legitimate complaint or accusation of voter fraud, but as you know, voter fraud is exceedingly rare, and only a handful of those cases come in every election cycle. What I do intend to do with this unit, and you're right, I do believe that unit was really designed to sow doubt in our elections rather than to support our elections and to support the ability of voters to access the ballot box. What I intend to do is to reorient the office to one that protects the right of Arizonans and the ability of Arizonans to vote, and importantly, that investigates and prosecutes any case of attempted violence against elections officials, volunteers, and any attempt to interfere in our elections. I thought what happened this election cycle, in which we had armed individuals armed with, AR-15s, wearing body armor, wearing masks, clearly trying to intimidate elections officials, is totally unacceptable, and it will not be tolerated when I'm Attorney General. It will not be tolerated. We had a situation in Yavapai County, my home county, in which both the county recorder and the elections director resigned after receiving multiple death threats. We can't allow that to happen. It can't happen, and expect that we're going to continue to have a democracy in this country. The other thing I will say is we're going to use the elections integrity unit. We'll see what we end up calling it, but we're going to use that unit to protect vote by mail. The Republican Party, as you all know, has undergone and has continued a concerted effort to eliminate vote by mail. I opposed that as a candidate for Attorney General, and I will oppose it as Attorney General. 90% of Arizonans vote by mail. 90% of us vote by mail. We are going to protect the ability of Arizonans to vote by mail. The people who would be hurt the most by eliminating vote by mail are our elderly, are our less abled folks, are our tribal members who have a more difficult time getting to a physical ballot box. And so we're going to fight for vote by mail and keep it in the state of Arizona.
I was wondering what you're going to do to restore access now, as you said, to reproductive rights, and also how you're going to restore trust in the voting system amongst Republicans.
So the first question, I'll take that first question, Tara. As I promised during the campaign, one of my first acts as Attorney General will be to reverse Attorney General Brnovich's position in favor of the 1864 abortion ban, and I am going to declare the 1864 abortion ban to be unconstitutional. So we are going to switch the position of the state of Arizona, and I'm going to oppose that abortion ban, which I believe violates the privacy clause of the Arizona Constitution. So that is if not a day one, then a day two item for me. And I will also continue to fight for reproductive rights when I'm in as AG in other cases. I haven't talked about this publicly before today, but I also intend to create a unit within the Attorney General's office solely designed to protect reproductive rights in Arizona.
And the conservative.
Yeah, so working with conservatives. It's important, and I think that, there's a lot of education that needs to be done and a lot of outreach by all of us, whether it's the Attorney General or Secretary of State Fontes or Governor Hobbs, to reach out to all of Arizona. Look, I'm from rural Arizona. I was born and raised in Prescott. I'm a former Republican. And so I do think that I have the ability, and I will make a priority reaching out to rural Arizona, getting out to rural Arizona and talking about how our election system works and how it is free and fair. It's a big job. There's no doubt about that. Donald Trump has really made a mess of the situation in the Republican Party in Arizona, and has engaged in a 2, 3, 4 year long process of trying to destroy the trust of Republicans in our election system. And so it's going to be incumbent on all of us, whether we're a Democrat or a Republican, to reach out to rural Arizona, to reach out to Republicans both in urban and rural Arizona, and talk to them about some of these elections issues. But I think it goes beyond that, quite honestly. It also includes making sure that we are working for rural Arizona. I mean, far too often I think politicians in Phoenix forget that there's a larger state out there, and folks feel that. And so one of the reasons I'm going to be so focused on water issues, including in La Paz County, by the way, and fighting this Saudi water grab, is that they matter. The fact that people's wells in La Paz County are running dry because our state government has allowed a Saudi-owned corporation to stick a straw in the ground and suck their water dry and dewater their wells, that's unacceptable. So I'm going to fight for every single Arizona, no matter where they are.
You spoke about day one DC priorities. Like, what are your other day one priorities, or if that's too narrow, like your first week?
First week.
Or whatever is an acceptable time frame.
Yeah. So I do think that reversing that 1864 abortion ban decision will be top of mind. I am going to make it clear to the state land department that I believe that these Saudi leases violate the state constitution's gift clause. I'm also going to set up these new units inside the AG's office. We're going to set up that reproductive rights unit. We're going to set up a labor unit to fight for working families and to fight for working people in Arizona. We are also going to set up for the first time a tribal unit so that we can work with Arizona's 22 tribes in that first week while I'm in office. And the other thing that I absolutely am intent on is working on this situation that we have discovered as a part of this transition, in which it would appear that the current Attorney General has allowed the Child and Family Protective Services Division to languish, and it is now down some 40-50%, some 57 vacancies at least inside that division. That is unacceptable, and I've already had conversations with the governor's budget staff about working to properly fill those positions.
The Department of Child Safety, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, DCS. So the way it works is my office represents DCS, and so it's my lawyers that represent them. There have, over the last several years under Brnovich, he has not filled those positions, those lawyer positions. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. It obviously hasn't been a priority for him. His federalism unit has been a priority for him. It's not going to be a priority for me, the federalism unit. But we need to protect our families and our children. These are jobs and cases that involve the most sensitive, difficult times in many families' lives, and it's unacceptable to me that the state government has allowed us to get into this position. So I'm going to be fighting for additional money to go to DCS that then pay for our lawyers.
Tell them how many the caseload is.
Oh, and so the caseload, yeah. I mean, just give you a sense of just how much of a crisis this is. Many of these lawyers are handling 150 to up to 180 cases. That's not acceptable. It's far above ABA regulations and recommendations, and so it's something we have got to get a handle on as a state.
Much of the Civil Rights Division under Attorney General Brnovich has been demoted. He obviously disagrees with that, but I was wondering what your plans are for the Civil Rights Division, and
Think-
also like what is it like to be the first mom Attorney General, and the first openly gay
Yeah.
Attorney General?
So the question was, what about the Civil Rights Division? We have a Civil Rights Division within the Attorney General's office. It is also a division that I believe Attorney General Brnovich has allowed to languish, and he hasn't done much with it. But it's an incredibly important division. I'm going to use the Civil Rights Division to fight housing discrimination, which I think is really on the rise in this time of increasing rents. And I'm going to use that division to fight discrimination based on race, based on gender, based on, again, based on sexual orientation. So this is an important division, and it's been underutilized, to say the least, by the current Attorney General. What's it like to be the first mom Attorney General? I think it's great. I mean, I'm honored to be the first mom Attorney General. Probably long past time for us to have a mom as AG. I'm also only the second woman to be elected Attorney General in Arizona's history, and I am the first LGBTQ AG in our history. So a lot of firsts and seconds in there, I guess. I think, as a mom, obviously, and as a single mom, I'll bring, I think, a sensitivity to the office that will focus on, making sure that our lawyers can be both parents and great lawyers, and I think that's possible, certainly in this day and age.
You talked about holding office hours during the campaign. I was wondering if you had any further details on that, if you're going to start.
Yeah, so the question is, I had talked on the campaign trail about doing office hours throughout the state of Arizona, which I absolutely intend to do personally. I want people to have personal and physical access to me. I think that's something that has been lost, not just by the current AG, but also by statewide elected officials across the board. So I intend to do that. It's something I did when I was a corporation commissioner. The other thing I want to do is add at least one additional physical office in eastern Arizona where we don't have an office, so that, again, rural Arizonans can have access to the AG's office.
Does anybody else have
Back here?
a
Yeah.
question? Give everybody else a chance.
And I have a couple other things I wanted to speak to that you all might care about, but go ahead.
I was just curious how you'll be approaching executions going forward.
Yeah. So the question was how am I going to approach the death penalty and executions? As I said on the campaign trail, I find it unacceptable that the state of Arizona, under the current Attorney General and Governor, have botched numerous executions, and it is not, in my mind, acceptable for us to, as a state, as a people representing the people of Arizona, to be botching the death penalty and the execution process. We do have the death penalty in the state of Arizona, and it will be my job to enforce that law. But the first thing that I am going to do as one of the first things that I'm going to do as Attorney General is to order a top to bottom review of what's going on inside the Department of Corrections, inside the Attorney General's office, that is causing these botched executions. We are also going to be transparent. We're going to make sure that the people of Arizona and the world know what drugs are being ordered and where they are being ordered from for these executions. That has been cloaked in secrecy by this current administration. And we're going to make sure that the executions themselves, if they occur going forward, are witnessed by the media. And I believe that also has been cut off in recent years. So there's going to be a lot more transparency out of the Attorney General's office on this and many other issues. The other thing I wanted to tell you all while you're here is that I will have regular press conferences. I think it's my duty as an elected official and as Attorney General to be available to you. I think you represent in many ways the people of Arizona, or at least you are their conduit to me, and so it's my duty to be available to you. And that is my vow to you, whether you like it or not.
No press conferences late on Fridays.
Okay, no Friday press conferences, unless you want it, but, any other questions?
You talked about the enormous amount of work that there is to be done. You mentioned during, the election, death threats to some people who are running to make Arizona better. So I was just curious, what makes this job worth it for you to put up with all that and to do this for the state of Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, the death threat stuff is obviously troublesome from the standpoint of anyone who's receiving them. It's unfortunately a sad sign of our times. But look, I think this, being Attorney General is an honor, it's a privilege, it's an opportunity to do great things for the people of Arizona and to be a lawyer for the people. And if that means that we have to deal with death threats, I'm willing to do that. I know we've got great security folks who are ready to deal with that. But it's just, unfortunately, it's a part of public service nowadays. It certainly wasn't when I was on the Corporation Commission, but it is now. But it's something that we've got to be constantly working on so that we can get past this era we're in which there's so much division and so much willingness to engage in that kind of behavior. So, it's an extraordinary time in our state's history, and it's an extraordinary opportunity for me and for my team to do big things for the people of Arizona at a time when we are growing like crazy and we have so many opportunities, but also so many challenges. All right. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. Promise you I'll keep it short.
Thanks, everyone.
You can just